My wife, 36 female, and I, 37 male, have been together for 12 years, married 7 of those. For the longest time, I thought we were happy. We had a paid-for house, a car, and savings. We traveled frequently and took 1 vacation a year. We were living our best life. About a year ago, she started talking more and more about this guy at work, her work husband. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I started noticing the way she'd light up whenever she mentioned him. I asked her to keep her distance, but she just brushed me off, saying they were just friends and I was being paranoid. But deep down, I had a bad feeling about it. Fast forward a few months, and their friendship evolved into a full-blown emotional affair. I'd catch her texting him late at night, giggling like a teenager, and acting like she was on cloud 9 whenever they talked. I confronted her about it, but she insisted they were just friends and that I was overreacting. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Then, out of nowhere, she dropped the bombshell. She wanted a divorce. She told me that she deserved better, that nothing was wrong with me, but she needed more out of life and I cannot provide it. She never outright admitted it was because of him, but I wasn't stupid. It didn't take long for me to find out that their friendship had turned physical. I was completely blindsided. While I was drowning in my own misery, drinking too much, moping around the house, she was out parading around with her AP like a teenager. She'd post these sappy love quotes on Facebook, hinting at her new relationship, and it made me sick to my stomach. One day, she posted some cryptic bullshit about finding her true love, and that was the final straw for me. I cleaned myself up, got my act together, and saw a divorce lawyer. Last week, I served her the papers, and she was genuinely shocked, like she didn't see this coming at all. The last few days, she's been crying and asking me if I can help her find her way back to me. She keeps saying she's confused and lost, and that maybe we can work things out. No thanks. I never imagined this is how things would end up for me. I'm sad. I don't deserve this. But in a way, I'm just relieved that I'm not going to be her backup plan anymore. I'm not here to fix her mess or help her figure out her shit. I'm moving on with my life, and I think it's time she does the same, be it with or without her AP. I don't give a shit anymore. I'd like to hear your version of the same story. How did your wayward spouse react when reality hit them in the face? Update. So, I just had my first mediation session with my soon-to-be ex-wife, and it was something else. She showed up without a lawyer, which was surprising considering how messy our finances are. Right off the bat, she wanted the house and a ridiculous amount of alimony. Even her mediator looked confused. My lawyer laughed when she mentioned the alimony. We make roughly the same amount of money, and she could easily pick up more hours to match my income. She's not entitled to any alimony. She's been cutting back on her hours since I served her with divorce papers to make it look like she's earning less. My lawyer pointed this out. As for the house, I have to give her half, which sucks because I put more money into it, but it is what it is. I'm okay with it, and I just want to get this over with and move on. It looks like it'll take a month or 2 for the divorce to be finalized. Her sister recently called me and told me that it looks like my soon-to-be ex and her AP are separated. Apparently, she found out he was texting other women from a sugar baby site. Younger women. Ouch. That's why the sappy love quotes had stopped, and why she's been looking like she hasn't slept in days. She's also not eating much. But guess what? None of it's my problem anymore. And it feels fucking fantastic. She's tried to talk to me several times since I served her the papers, but I've been keeping my distance. Whenever she's around, I usually just lock myself up in my room. I don't see any point in having those conversations. There's nothing left to say. She's ruined my life. She can't undo this damage. I'm going to take quite a hit financially, and it'll take me years to rebuild. But I'm not going to worry myself about that right now. I'm focusing on getting myself detangled from this dead weight now. Thanks again to everyone who's offered support and advice. It's helped me more than I can say. I'll keep pushing through, and I'm looking forward to the day when this is all behind me. Story 2. I, 34 male, have been with my girlfriend, 35 female, for 15 years. We started dating when I was 19 and she was 20. We have 2 kids together, a 13-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. Our relationship has always been complicated, but I thought we were solid. We've been through a lot together, and despite the ups and downs, I believed we were happy, or at least I convinced myself that we were. When we first got together, it was intense. We were young, reckless, and in love. My girlfriend had a rough childhood, which I was fully aware of from the start. She dealt with a lot: abuse, abandonment, and a constant feeling of instability. She never knew her real dad, was sexually assaulted a few times, and her mom was far from a stable influence, always bringing different men into their lives. This left her with deep-seated trust and anxiety issues that I knew would impact our relationship. Despite these red flags, I thought I could be the one to give her the stability and love she never had. But as time went on, our relationship became more and more toxic. The first few years were full of intense arguments, physical altercations, and verbal abuse. We were just kids trying to navigate adult emotions and responsibilities we weren't ready for. But there were good times too, times when we'd laugh, share inside jokes, and feel like we were the only two people in the world. That's what kept me going, the belief that we were meant to be together and that we could weather any storm. When we were 21, we had our first child. I dropped out of school to support us, taking whatever jobs I could to make ends meet. We moved out on our own, and even though we were struggling financially, I felt like we were building something together. 3 years later, our daughter was born. We were still poor, still stressed, but we were making it work. Or at least I thought we were. In 2010, we moved to a small town where her mom lived, hoping that being closer to family would help us. Instead, it seemed to be the beginning of the end. The fighting became more frequent, the jealousy more intense. There were times when I'd leave for days just to clear my head, and the cops were called more than once during our arguments. Our sex life, which had been one of the few constants in our relationship, started to deteriorate. We broke up for a few months in 2012, but got back together, hoping we could work things out for the sake of our kids. But things were never the same after that. The physical fight stopped, but the emotional toll was still there. Our sex life, which had already taken a hit, became almost non-existent. She has a much lower sex drive than I do, and I started to resent her for it. I felt like my needs weren't being met, and instead of addressing it in a healthy way, I withdrew. I gave her the silent treatment, hoping she'd notice and try to fix things, but all it did was push us further apart. I know now that I handled things poorly. I didn't communicate my frustrations, and I let the resentment build up inside me. I turned to porn to fill the void, which only made things worse. She knew I was watching it, and it hurt her self-esteem, but I didn't stop. I figured if she wasn't going to meet my needs, I had to take care of them myself. It was a vicious cycle of frustration, resentment, and withdrawal, and neither of us knew how to break it. Despite all this, I never cheated on her. I had plenty of opportunities and temptations, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I knew it would destroy her, and even though I was unhappy, I still loved her. But I was constantly wondering what it would be like to be with someone else. I felt trapped in a relationship that wasn't fulfilling, but I didn't want to leave because of our kids and the life we had built together. Then, in 2017, things took a turn I never saw coming. My girlfriend reconnected with an ex-boyfriend who had recently got out of prison. She started talking to him behind my back, and eventually I found out. She admitted to having sex with him twice, once at his place and once at a hotel. I was devastated. I had suspected something was going on, but never imagined she would actually go through with it. She told me that she was still hurt by how I'd treated her over the years and that she turned to him for comfort. She said she didn't want to cheat on me, but he pressured her, and she gave in. She claimed it didn't mean anything, that it was just sex and that she felt guilty the entire time. But that didn't make it any easier for me to accept. I'd always been faithful, even when I was frustrated and unhappy. So this felt like the ultimate betrayal. Since then, I've been a wreck. I can't stop thinking about her being with him. I have these constant mental movies playing in my head of them together, and it's driving me crazy. We've talked about it endlessly, and she keeps saying she's sorry and she wants to move forward. She's been trying to be more attentive, and we've had some good moments since then, but the damage is done. I just can't shake the feeling of betrayal. I've never been with anyone else, and I keep thinking that maybe the only way I can move on is to sleep with someone else. I don't want revenge, and I don't want to hurt her, but I feel like it's the only way to make things even. I need to know what it's like to be with someone else, to feel wanted by someone else. Maybe then I can stop feeling like a cuck and move forward. We've moved a few times since all this happened, and I've been trying to focus on our kids and rebuilding our relationship, but I'm struggling. I still check her phone, even though she hasn't talked to him since she ended things. I'm paranoid, insecure, and constantly on edge. I'm stuck in this cycle of pain and resentment, and I don't know how to break out of it. I want to marry her someday, but I can't get past what she did. I want to feel normal again, to trust her again, but I'm not sure if that's possible. The idea of sleeping with someone else feels like a way to level the playing field, but I know it's not a healthy solution. I'm torn between wanting to stay with her and make things work and feeling like I need to experience something outside of our relationship to heal. I don't want to destroy our family, but I'm tired of feeling like this. I love her, and I don't want to live without her, but I also don't want to live with this constant pain. I feel like I'm at a crossroads, and I don't know which way to go. Am I wrong for feeling this way? What do I do? I'm really sorry you're going through this, but from everything you've shared, it sounds like you're in a relationship that's been unhealthy for a long time. The fact that you're constantly thinking about her cheating, feeling betrayed, and even considering sleeping with someone else just to feel even is a huge red flag. Relationships shouldn't be about keeping score. They should be about mutual respect, trust, and love. Both of you have been deeply hurt by each other over the years, but it doesn't sound like either of you is truly happy anymore. You're struggling to move past what she did, and it's eating you up inside. You deserve to be in a relationship where you feel valued and where your needs are met, not one where you're constantly questioning your partner's loyalty and your own self-worth. Honestly, it might be time to seriously consider leaving this relationship. You both deserve a chance at finding happiness, even if it's not together.